quiz again.
I'm not sure that this is interesting to any of our listeners.
I think the saga of the family quiz is very important. Given it was my turn to do the questions, and I really did try to think of things that you might not know. So, a question about famed TV sitcom of the 80s. Allo Allo, for example. Did you get that question right?
I got it right, but it was a guess. I knew Renee's wife wasn't Michelle or Mimi, so it was between Eva.
Yvette.
No, that.
Yes.
Oh,
You've
right.
said this to me before.
Yvette
you said this
or...
last night. Eva was an answer on another question.
Okay, what was the other
Yvette,
person?
These are all people who are actually in Allo Allo.
Yeah, who was the fourth one?
Edith. Which is the right answer.
Oh, right. I still wouldn't, yeah.
Oh, Mark, your knowledge of Allo Allo, it's really upsetting me.
Well, put it on date night, like 3 episodes of Allo
I
Allo.
really don't think I could do that. Although, an Allo Allo podcast, I would listen to that. It doesn't it's not going to stand up well, is it now? But, yeah, let's not go there.
We once listened to a Goodnight Sweetheart podcast.
We did. We've listened to a lot of podcasts. We have, our podcast knowledge goes deep.
I think the fact if it doesn't stand up
is better.
Yeah,
There's more to talk about.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No one wants to do a podcast about a really funny program. You want to do things about that's a little bit inappropriate.
Is this you working your way up to The Naked Gun, which is our date night film tonight?
I think if you go in with an open mind, you will like The Naked Gun.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had pizza, and that has put me in a greater state of mind than I was half an hour ago.
You can have a drink.
No, just the pizza will do.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've got cake as well.
Oh, we've got cake. Oh, God, we've got cake as well. Oh, I'm so happy. I'll just eat cake. I'll be fine.
For it were my birthday.
Yes, it was. It's your birth. Yes. It's the end of your birthday week.
It's the end of my birthday weekend. Yes.
Oh, I mean, we've still got the cards up, and we've still got your lovely happy birthday Mark sign.
Yes.
Which Blake made for you.
No, he didn't.
It's true, but we can think of it that he might have done.
No, I didn't have anything to do with that.
Yeah, how you feel old?
No, feel the same.
Yeah, just the same.
Yeah.
Nothing different.
No, nothing the same. Although getting trapped in a park. So we went out for a little walk around our local, some woods nearby.
Yeah.
And
like
we didn't.
A big country park, was there?
When we got there, we realised your phone was playing up.
Yes.
You've had to get a new phone this week because, anyway, that's a different story.
Yeah, that's a terrible story.
And my phone had very little battery and we needed it to find our way home.
So it's a really good thing when you've got a premature baby who's been in hospital for quite a long period of time, came home on oxygen, and you're quite, you're very, very meticulous about the way that you do things in the house and everything, being on lockdown for a long time, just starting to go back out again, and both parents have malfunctioning technology.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So we got lost. Not so much lost. We followed a path.
No, we did follow. I mean, we did follow a path. We followed the path that said not steps. There was signs.
I think at some point we ventured onto the steps path without.
I just don't see. Well, I mean, my sense of direction.
We did. That's exactly what we did.
Okay, but we picked the route that said go this way. People with a buggy, don't go that way.
Yeah, but it was about 3 miles later that we.
We were
so anyway. I nearly fell down some mud bank trying to push the pram up.
Yes.
Then we had to carry the pram.
We had to carry the pram and the baby separately.
Yes, up some steps.
It was not good.
Like about 3 flights of stairs.
Yeah.
So happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday. I did at one point. I was like, if I have to make a choice, I just kept saying to you, "I've got him. It's fine."
Yeah.
In a sort of like, if you fall down into the ravine below, it'll be okay.
That is fair. That is fine.
Yeah,
I would much prefer
the choice I had made at that point.
I would prefer you saved Blake than saved me.
I did have a moment of like, that one. He'll be fine. Even if he ends up like in some water somewhere, he can swim.
Yes.
And he's not in a buggy hurtling towards the ground.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was all fine though in the end. It was a little bit hairy, but it was all fine. And then of course when we got to the top of the hill, there was a stile. Of course it was. So we ended up taking him out of the buggy again.
Yeah.
Putting him over the Yeah, it's great.
This is why you don't go. This is why you don't go to new places.
That's why you don't go out, Mark. This is it. Just stay in. That's it.
Stay in, get pizza and cake. And watch The Naked Gun.
Watch The Naked Gun. Yeah. Fun life. Anyway, I think we best get on to TV pretty sharpish this week because it's Hamilton week and we've got a lot to say about Hamilton, I reckon. Yeah? Should we go?
Yes.
Watching television.
Hamilton.
Will we get sued if I start singing the songs in this? Because
please sing the songs. Any more?
No, I think we're
is that it?
pushing it with PRS claim.
That's the one that you've been doing the most of today.
Yes.
Just for everyone at home, Mark hasn't stopped singing the songs of Hamilton, like all last night and then all of today. So much so that I've started singing them and then getting really annoyed that I'm doing it. And it's that bit. Yeah. It's that bit that you've just sang that we both... I sang it to Blake this afternoon.
Yeah.
Just without even realising it.
I sang it when I was trying to get to sleep.
It's just mad. So, Disney pays $75 million for a recorded version of the stage production of Hamilton.
Should we explain what Hamilton is?
Well, it's funny you should say that, Mark, because I came to Hamilton really not knowing very much at all. And I wondered this afternoon, I was thinking about what I was going to say about it, whether we should really go into too much detail. Because I knew it was about a man called Hamilton, and that was essentially where I was at.
Oh, wow.
I don't really want to go too much further than that, because I got so much out of not knowing anything.
Okay, I think we can peek behind the curtain a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
You control it
So
then.
this is I've got a question regarding this. This is a musical.
Yes.
Is it a musical? Because I think technically it's an opera.
Oh. I mean, I don't have the knowledge to be able to, even give a factual
From my
answer
understanding, an opera, although you stylise that as someone la 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 la, is an opera is something where there is no spoken word at all. It's all done through music.
Yeah.
Whereas a musical is someone where they have conversations and then interspersed it with songs.
Yeah,
I think it's more of an opera than a modern opera.
That makes more sense then, because I've just watched the beginning of it again, and as soon as the first person comes on a stage, that was my tummy, actually.
Oh.
Mark thought the baby monitor was on, but actually it's the sound coming from my stomach.
Because
I've got half a pizza in. Yeah, so panic not. It's just me. But thanks for checking. But yeah, as soon as someone comes on stage, they are, it's rap, isn't it?
Yeah, it's hip hop, it's rap, it's R&B music. Yeah.
It's so lyrical. Every word has a movement attached to it. Every word has a sound attached to it.
And I don't think it's too much of a spoiler to say it's someone who is a key part of the American independence, one of the founding fathers, but who isn't necessarily a headline player.
Or perhaps is being forgotten?
No, I don't think he's necessarily been forgotten. I don't think he's sort of common knowledge, but I don't think he's necessarily been forgotten.
Right, okay.
He has studied American history.
See, my American history is so poor.
But he's not necessarily... If you were an American school child learning about the Declaration, learning about independence, you would learn about Alexander Hamilton.
Did you ever do
No.
the Revolution?
No, not at all. No,
neither did I.
When I first heard of Hamilton, I didn't know who Alexander Hamilton was.
And isn't that the point, actually, that, we don't know that much about it, perhaps.
It is colourblind casting, so every person of the cast is a person of colour in this version, it's a recording of the original Broadway cast, of which they won all the Tonys that year.
All the awards, yeah.
So you have Thomas Jefferson is a African-American with wild hair.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
I love it. He's played by someone called David Diggs, which I looked up while we were watching this.
Yeah.
And he is an actual rapper, because I think a lot of the people are stage performers.
Yes.
And he is more of a man of many talents, and he's an actual recording artist in his own right.
Yes.
I don't know very much about him. I'm sure other people know loads about him, but he, I think, is... The way he moves across the stage is just amazing. Sorry, carry on.
So it was written by Lin-Manuel Miranda, who broke through with In the Heights. Is
In
that
the Heights,
Yeah,
that's Into the Woods. I'm thinking of In the Heights.
In the Heights, of which there is a film coming out at some point soon.
course there is.
this year. And like you said, Disney have paid the money.
Yeah.
They originally announced it was going to go to cinemas next
Yes,
year, but
yeah.
they have brought this forward for reasons unknown.
Well, they've brought it forward for lockdown, I think. They brought it forward for the 4th of July weekend. And I think people are crying out for... They're crying out for this. I mean, the social media surrounding Hamilton, we were included. We put something on our Instagram and we were including in the Hamilton story, put it in air quotes, where... You know, you couldn't even look to see where ours came up on the story because it was every second someone was adding to it.
And I think it's still a very in-demand production. You can't just... So quite often, if we're in London, we will look for a musical ticket.
Absolutely, yeah.
Whereas you can't with this. You need to enter a ballot for specific days and then work around that. It helped the West End have its best ever year last year.
Yeah.
It's still very big on Broadway. It's a phenomenon... Whilst not necessarily breaking through to the full... I don't think it's necessarily what Phantom of the Opera was in the 80s.
Okay.
In the Phantom of the Opera, because I didn't know any of the songs
Yeah.
going in, and I don't think it would be possible for someone 40 years old with a relative interest in musical theatre to not know the music of the night or...
Well, a lot of it was in the charts, wasn't it? It was on Top of the Pops. If we think of all the Top of the Pops we watch, you know, the old school Top of the Pops we watch... A lot of it, Sarah Brightman's in this, and I've got Michael Crawford's in top 20. So they all went in the charts, where I don't think the songs of Hamilton have. I mean, they may have done.
They have in America.
Okay.
They have... The soundtrack has been around the charts for a while, but it didn't get any higher than sort of number 58 or 60 or something like that. I looked up.
So why were you doing a face then when you were saying like 4 reasons they've brought it forward?
Well, I don't understand why they have brought it forward. I don't believe it's money. I don't believe it's just be nice to people for lockdown. I wonder if they lost confidence in this becoming a hit in the theatres.
Right, okay. Because if people are paying, you know, they're being on lists to be able to get into the show... Wouldn't you go to the cinema to see it? It's easier to go to the cinema to see it.
So I agree, but I think this comes down to my whole. Look, we'll come back to this at the end because I think this ties into my thoughts on it as a whole.
Okay.
So yeah, so I take it you enjoyed it then.
I did. I think the problem with it is that there was such a high expectation. So I went in. It wasn't even like a 10 out of 10 expectation. I went in with, you know, probably 100. You know, you're going right up there beyond any level of expectation. It was super, super high. And I found myself doing that thing where you've got that level of anticipation, picking it apart. You know, when you're it's so high you can only come down.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? Rather than going into it afresh and thinking, wow, you know, and it building and me thinking, this is amazing. So people have got to go and see this. This is so wonderful. And we've been to so many shows where shows that have been very, very small, you know, off the West End that have grown and grown, and then other people have found out about them. This was just so big to begin with. There wasn't anything where I could sit and go, oh, I think this is going to get better, or I really hope this is good. I just knew it was going to be good all the way through. Having said that, it's superb. There is no getting away from it. It's so fresh, it's so inventive, it's so creative. And I'm not just talking about the fact that they're doing like battle rap in scenes where it's like Congress having an argument about a particular political point. It's the staging. You know, the staging is just superb. The cast, I mean, at one point I think I turned to you and said, my God, that woman can sing. And you can see the amount of physicality that every performer has to put into every song. There are veins sticking out of people's necks. They are having to do that really deep diaphragm breathing to get words out. I thought it was absolutely superb. While I was watching it, I was thinking, could cut that song out. A little bit long. Not quite sure what's happening at certain points, but that's because I don't know all the lyrics in there. It's hip hop, it's rap, it's pop.
It's so, very quick
it's
as well.
Very, very quick. And there were certain things where I thought, I'm just not quite following who that person is, because they utilise cast members 2, sometimes 3 times to play different people. And I found it difficult to go, well, are they the character I've known for half the show, or are they? I think they've turned into someone else, but I can't quite work that out. And then I did.
Okay,
It just took me a while.
I thought it was quite obvious when they didn't, when they did that.
It wasn't to me
because
for a while.
It was between the intermission,
Yeah,
where everyone changed.
yeah, but I just hadn't clicked with me.
I came into it completely different to you. I came into this thinking, I know that this is very well thought of, and a lot of people who I think highly of have lauded this. A lot of the Empire podcasts.
Years. I mean, Helen O'Hara from Empire has been going on about it. I
It's a
feel like I
standing
know more about Hamilton from her, even though I don't know anything about it.
Absolutely. But knowing the subject matter, this wasn't something that interested me. So I thought I'd be impressed, but I wouldn't, and so much it wouldn't be for me. I've come out this completely on the other side. The first half of it, because we watched this over 2 nights, because it's 2 hours 40, and it's long. I thought the first half was great, but I thought the second half, after the intermission, was phenomenal. One of the best things I've ever seen in terms of stage productions. However, I'm doing this with the knowledge that I don't think it fully translates to screen.
Yes.
This makes me want to go see the play, go see it live,
Yeah.
rather than watch this again.
Do you feel it was the direction? That was where I came in. We started off being in the audience. That's how we were positioned. We could see the whole of the stage, and we were stationary as we would be in a seat. You could hear the people yelling and sort of getting excited. You could feel the buzz of the theatre, which you know that feeling. You know the smell of the theatre and the buzz of it. And then they started doing arty shots where they were circling round characters and going in for close-ups. And I was like, I don't need that. I want to see the stage as you would have seen it.
I don't think that sells for 75 million, to be perfectly honest.
But then you've got this hybrid of you're in the seats for some of it, you're on the stage for some of it, and I think it jars.
I didn't find that jarring.
Okay.
I found it distracting in the fact that this is clearly not one performance which is filmed. I mean, clearly they do this every night, and sold out every night, so they're not bad performers, but it did take something away to the fact that it was edited together. Having said that, you can see the conductor, when the guy who plays George Washington, who I'm going to name because he was absolutely phenomenal.
It's Christopher Jackson.
Chris Jackson. When he is doing his big song and it ends on a huge note to the point where you said, is this his last night or something?
Yeah, I really felt there was something there.
You can see the hand of the conductor come up to stop him. It is like being in the theatre for a long time, but just without that atmosphere and that feel of I'm seeing this, I'm experiencing this.
And being able to see, the reason I sort of pulled in on the direction is I like to be able to see, I don't necessarily concentrate on who's singing in the middle of the stage all the time. I like to look at the background. I like to look at them shifting the materials. I like to see, I like the stagecraft. So I really like to see someone come out of the wings, grab onto a bit of a ladder, pull it round. It's going to become something else in a minute. And in Hamilton in particular, it's really simple staging, or at least it looks simple. It isn't. It looks simplistic, but they've got a revolving floor. Reminds me of the old Tuxedo Royale or the Tuxedo Princess, as you might know it, down the floating nightclub.
I was never here when that was there.
I know, but that's what it reminds me of.
Well, it reminds me of Planet Earth in Hull.
Does that have a rotating dance floor?
Yeah,
as
it's
well?
where I spent my 18th birthday.
Oh, see?
Or as it was known at the time, Planet Girth.
I'm not even going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything. Let's go back to our really highbrow conversation of Hamilton. But yeah, that's what I missed about it. I missed being able to smell the theatre and to see the things going on in the background.
Yeah. So one comment I would have is, I think there is one actor which stands out as being poorer than the rest.
Okay, that's interesting because I've got that as well.
And I think this might be blasphemy.
Yes. I feel quite bad about saying this, so I think we're on the same page.
Lin-Manuel Miranda is not as good as the rest of the cast.
I know.
Obviously, he wrote it, and I'm getting the feeling I'm fully happy to count him as a genius, having seen this. Clearly. Having written this from scratch.
And I don't think he's going to care about our opinion, to be fair.
No. I suspect he is, with his millions of dollars and worldwide respect.
Yeah, and the skill, and he clearly has. I was thinking about this earlier. I was like, you can't criticise him because his performance is so full of skill. I'd never be able to do anything that he does. He's on stage the entire time. He's performing. He's in it, But sometimes when he's overwrought with grief or anger or despair, he's really overwrought with grief, anger and despair, and it doesn't quite ring true. Sometimes, I don't know if you felt like this, I felt he was a little bit whiny. I'm whispering now because I realise it is blasphemous, but I just felt he was a bit whiny. And there was another point where we turned to each other, didn't we? And we were sort of commenting on the fact that he gets to be amorous with a number of characters in the show. Yeah. And what you said to me, it's really good, isn't it? You just write this show, you write yourself in the main part, and this is what you can do. So
I expect my play to be out in 2022.
Gregerson. But yeah, for a man who was having, Alexander Hamilton was having romance in his life. I'm not going to go too much of it. He had romance in his life. I didn't necessarily feel that Hamilton, as he was played by Lin-Manuel Miranda, had that charisma. Yeah, had that charm.
Totally agree.
I'm not convinced that certain characters that might have said, like I was struck by seeing him. I didn't feel that he was being portrayed as someone who could go into a room and suddenly be the centre of attention.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I'm glad you said that.
It's so hard though, isn't it? Because he's clearly, he is a genius, isn't he?
Yes.
He clearly is. But I wonder if he's more, I'm not giving him advice, but is he more suited to be in production, to be in direction, to writing? He clearly can sing, he clearly can act. But the other people on the stage outshone him.
I think this is probably just the case of he managed to find the perfect storm of casting in this. I mean, I'm just going to, Philippa Sue and Renee Elise Goldberry as the two female leads are phenomenal.
I've never seen anything
Singing,
like it.
Acting, rapping, everything about it.
Doing full-on pop numbers, doing soul numbers, doing everything, every genre.
Yeah, Leslie Odom Jr., who is almost the lead in this.
Well, he's like the narrator.
Yeah, he's holding it all together. It's an understated performance compared to many of the others.
It is.
But it doesn't work without him, his acting. David Diggs, we've already spoke about. Jonathan Groff, who's the only person I knew going into this, because he's Jesse St. James in Glee.
You in Glee. Mark had to show me, just to, peek behind the curtain. When we worked out it was Jonathan Groff playing one of the roles, Mark then decided it was perfect time to get his laptop out and show me on YouTube a clip from Glee with Jonathan Groff in. But
Jonathan Groff plays King George III, who comes on and kind of breaks up the action at certain points. His songs are probably the most musical West End songs.
And he's having a wonderful time.
Yeah.
But that role is perfect for anyone who really wants to go for it.
Chris Jackson, who I was kind of like, he's doing a good job, and then his final song just blew me away.
And I've watched it back, the start of it a bit. You don't realise that certain cast members are on the stage right from the beginning, and you can sit, and then I think it really does. And we spoke about this earlier, didn't we? Before we came on the podcast, we said, some people had already watched it twice, and you said to me that you were thinking about putting it on this morning, but instead you listened to the soundtrack. I think this really begs to be played again, to be watched again, to pick things up.
I would rather listen to it and I'd rather see it live.
Okay.
In the inevitable nationwide tour that's going to happen, and they will sell out.
And the inevitable film, which I'm not looking forward to.
Will it translate to film?
No. It'll be like Les Mis all over again. It'll be Cats.
I mean, Les Mis was successful at least. Cats was not.
I'm not sure I think theatre is just such a beautiful medium, and this was written for theatre. It wasn't written for film.
Yeah.
And I think there is a real difference between celluloid and theatre. I was thinking about it's the 10-year anniversary of Inception, and I was listening to a couple of podcasts about that, and thinking, that wasn't made for stage, that was made for film, and with all the graphics and everything like that was going on. this was made for theatre, and I just don't think it will translate. But I might be completely wrong because I'm not a genius like Lin-Manuel Miranda.
So it's on Disney Plus now.
Yeah.
Anyone can watch it.
Go and watch it.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I think it's such an interesting way of telling history and telling a story. And that's it's a theme through it, isn't it? Who tells the narrative? How do we learn about people?
I think when we talk about hip hop and R&B and stuff like that, so it's not necessarily music that I would necessarily listen to. This kind of replaces in my mind something, and this is going to be you're going to roll your face at this.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of something which has now been disgraced, so I'm not allowed to. I don't feel comfortable playing it anymore. But "Trapped in the Closet" by R. Kelly, I really enjoyed.
Mark, I'm not rolling my face. I'm running away.
That's a really it was
You
really
are not
clever.
good. You're not gonna compare Hamilton with R. Kelly.
No, it's far more impressive. But
I mean, I don't think you can even speak about that show now.
the way
The
the story is told, with the vocalizations and it's not that far off when you listen to the.
You know what? I think this is because you like things like Glee. You like things like the spoken. I mean, you showed me a clip from Community as well, where they do a Glee rip-off.
Yes.
I think you just like. I don't think it's anything about sort of like the R. Kelly thing. I think you like that style of spoken.
Yes.
Telling a tale through music.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Because I don't think you can compare Trapped in the Closet with this. I think that's quite offensive.
Do you even seen it?
No, but I think it's I just don't. Something tells me that it's completely and utterly wrong. Like there's something really wrong about it.
No. I mean, there's a lot wrong with R. Kelly.
Offensive about it. And obviously, I'm putting him to one side, but I got the feeling that it was very offensive.
No, it's not at all.
Okay.
There is one plot point which probably doesn't hold up nowadays,
right?
And uses language to describe somebody that you wouldn't necessarily use, and it's not what you're thinking of. I don't think. But it is. I want to show you it, and you're never going to watch it, so
I'm
it's
never going to
fine.
watch. Yeah, I'm not watching it.
The way that people vocalise over the music is very similar to Hamilton.
Okay, and I think that's what you're thinking of.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
I'm trying to dig you out of this now.
Like... No, there's nothing to be dug out at all. I really liked Trapped in the Closet until it became problematic.
Okay. What else have we been watching? I'm just thinking, what else have we watched? Because Hamilton was such a big thing for us this week.
So.
Watch the finale of Glow Up.
Yeah.
Yeah, should we talk about that?
Yes.
Because we don't often come back to things. We sort of let them go and then they end and we don't sort of have a bit of a roundup. But yeah, a few episodes ago we spoke about the BBC Three makeup show called Glow Up, which is hosted by Stacey Dooley, and it's very much in the style of Great British Bake Off, Great British Sewing Bee, all the other Great British
balloon model, Glow Up.
I think it essentially could be called Great British Makeup Show. It's exactly the same format.
But it's probably a different production company.
Well, it probably is. That would be right. So we talked about it last time. It was something that we were watching over lunch. It was a bit of a throwaway show. You were essentially ignoring it. I think at the time you said that it was something that you said. I think you said it wasn't for you.
No.
It wasn't aimed at you.
So I want to address this.
Okay.
So I've been back and I've listened to what I said at the time, and I said it was a world that I didn't feel welcome in.
Right.
I want to say I was 110% wrong about that. That was me judging the people based on their art school look, and I was trying to be smug and everything like that. They all charmed me over this just by you watching it in the background, and I was wrong. And yeah, I think it's time to hold my hands up and just admit that by the end of it, I was invested in this.
You'll get a tear every now and again.
Yeah, I didn't care. I don't care about the makeup, but these are people with their own personalities and stories going through. It's like any good reality TV show where the actual task that they're doing is almost secondary compared to the journey that they make and stuff like that. Yeah, I had my little favourite.
Yes, Mark's favourite was Eve, who was absolutely wonderful. And who at the end, she got something like an 8-page spread with ranking or something like that. It was the fact she was she worked in a salon, didn't she? She was incredibly personable. It's the sort of person I would go to on a night out and like say, could you do my makeup for a night out? You know it'd be beautiful, or wedding makeup. And she had such she was taking it seriously, but she wasn't taking it so seriously that you sort of going, oh, okay. She wanted to learn, and a lot of the time she said, look, I'm just here to learn. I want to be better at what I'm doing, and I want to do this as a living. She did really well on the Strictly Come Dancing week.
So there's 2 parts to each show. There's an industry assignment where they go out to like a show or a TV show or a model shoot or something like that, and they're given a task to do. And every week on that, she nailed it.
Absolutely.
She was the best one, where she was just given a brief
things.
and had to do things. And then the second part is where they have to design something. And I think she just overthought things every week.
And I think that is much more art school as well, the second half.
Yes.
It's working with clay and putty and ball caps, and the people who had done that, who were artists in inverted, who had been to art school, they had been doing this over and over again. And it's not to say that what she did was rubbish.
Yeah.
It was just up against the other people who had been working with those materials week in, week out, and that's all they would do. And they would do these really quite gruesome looks sometimes. It's just hers didn't necessarily work in comparison to theirs. But that's not to say that what she didn't do was very talented, because it was really creative and good. And we really got behind her for the last few episodes, didn't we? And every time she did something really well, we were like feeling quite parental and like having a bit of a cry, going, oh, she's doing so well and she's winning all these challenges.
And then she inevitably messed it up in the second round.
But I think this is where I have a problem with Glow Up. For something that's about makeup, I don't think it knows whereabouts in the makeup industry it wants to be. Now, this is not necessarily a problem. If they're saying, if you're in the makeup industry, you've got to be able to work with putty, you've got to be able to work with latex, and then also you've got to do a smoky eye on a Friday night. That's fine. But my feeling is that you probably specialise, and you're not doing a ghoulish makeup on a Monday and then Tuesday you're doing bridal.
Absolutely.
That's my feeling. I don't know anything about it, but that's my feeling with it. So my issue with it was that it focuses so much on make someone look like a Pokemon, make someone look like they're your superhero, they're the manifestation of your superpower, and you have to tell your story through them. All of those challenges that were incredibly creative were really interesting to look at, but just got a bit boring over time. The thing that I would love them to do is to concentrate on the way that makeup can transform people. So what I'd really like them to, and speaking from experience as someone I've had hormonal acne all the way through my teens, all the way through my 20s. It only sort of gone away since I got pregnant, essentially.
Yeah.
That's what, it's coming back now, good old hormones. But I had really, really bad hormonal acne, and it was, across the whole of my face, down my back, had all sorts of drugs that I took for it. I would love to be able for them to take people who have maybe had acne or acne scarring and show how makeup can enhance someone who has got something like, I would have loved someone to come along and say, here is some makeup that's not going to cover you, it's not going to make you, in inverted commas, look better, because there's nothing wrong with how people look, but this is how makeup can be used.
I think that would be a really, really good and positive way to do it. I think from a practical point of view, you want to be starting from a level playing field, and you're not going to find 2 people with the same amount of scarring over. And I think that's probably why. But yeah, look, I don't hear anyone talking about this apart from us.
Yeah, I know.
So maybe this won't get a third series, but I'd be interested in going back and watching the first one now.
Okay. Because I think it's essentially exactly the same.
Yeah.
And I wonder how, does it have, the guest judges that they have on, that's how they give it legs. The fact that they went into the Strictly Come Dancing studios and did the Strictly Come Dancing makeup, that gives it something different. Yeah. They're working with Rankin, one of the most famous photographers in the world. Fine. But, yeah, I just don't know how much more of this they could do. I'm really pleased for all the people who are on it, they're all on Instagram, and they will, I hope they will really do well out of this, because they're all very young. They're all at the start of their career. And you would hope that this would give them a platform to to sort of go forward.
Is there much of a platform for celebrity makeup artists?
Oh yeah.
Unless you've got your... But I know people who have their own range of stuff, but as people who are makeup artists, is there necessarily...
Yeah, I mean, on Instagram, there are hundreds.
Okay, yeah, I
hundreds
suppose
of them,
that's... Yeah.
all having their own unique... I mean, when I'm sitting watching these videos of people chatting away and putting things up at the screen, that's what I'm doing. I'm looking at the makeup artists. They don't have their own range, but they're showing how to use the makeup to enhance people's natural features.
Okay.
And that's the ones that I go for, the people who, they're not trying to sculpt you in your face to look like someone else. They're just trying to enhance what's already there.
Okay, yeah.
You've watched something by yourself this week, haven't you? Because you said you wanted to talk about something that has numbers in, and I can't remember what it means.
7,500.
Okay.
Do you know anything about this?
No, you've told me about it, and I can't remember anything.
Right, so this is a Amazon original film.
An Amazon original? Oh, okay.
Yes.
Well, so not a Netflix.
No. So I think it did the festival rounds. I think Amazon bought into it quite early. I suspect it probably was going to have a small theatrical run this year, but times have changed, and so it was put on Amazon Prime. It was released in Germany over Christmas because it's a German production. It is kind of a thriller, I would say. Basically, the thing is, it is a pilot and a first mate on an aeroplane, a commercial airline, flying from Berlin to Paris. We meet them. We are in the cockpit the entire time, including when terrorists try and take over the plane. And the whole film takes place in the cockpit with the pilot trying to react. Basically, the terrorists run whilst one of the stewardesses is coming in to deliver the food. They run. There's a fight, there's a scuffle. They have weapons that they have made, and it ends up with one terrorist unconscious in the cockpit. Both the pilot and the first captain injured, and we can see outside because there is a camera that shows you what is going on in the main cabin.
Right, okay, so you can still see outside of the cabin.
Yes.
Right, okay,
through,
so you're not just...
Yeah,
okay.
through this. And that's used as a method to sort of see what's going on. They can communicate with them, but we don't necessarily go out there as the camera.
What's the reference to 7,500 then? Is that the...
7,500 is the call sign that is used when a terrorist takeover has happened on board. Mm-hmm. The star of this is the first mate, who is Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Right. Okay, that is not what I thought you were going to say. I thought you could say an unknown. Right, okay.
I don't know what's happened to Joseph Gordon-Levitt in the past few years because I've not seen him in much. I don't
I'm just thinking is the Inception, which I spoke about earlier.
He's producing so much, he's doing so much. But
it was Robin in Nolan's Batman.
Yeah, and then he did 50-50 was around that time.
Yeah.
And Don Juan is that one that he directed, I think.
Yeah,
and then he's kind of disappeared, whether he's just enjoying life.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a very small production, obviously, because it's just one set. This is far better than it has any right to be. It could very well go down the Paranormal Activity, amateur dramatics. But I was it didn't go necessarily the way that I thought it was going to. I really enjoyed this, and for something that's just on there, like I say, I think I've said plenty of times, I'm itching for stuff to watch. I really enjoyed it. I watched it in one sitting. It's 90 odd minutes.
I was just about to say, how long is it?
It's really short. Yeah, absolutely, because they can't string this out for too long. And actually, I thought something happens that I thought would happen at the end, sort of halfway through, and I was kind of like, oh, are we finished? No, okay, right, no, this has got some place to go. And then, my only criticism is there is the depiction of terrorists. There is one in particular who I think we're 20 years on from 9/11, and I think it's a bit 24.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's the no-name.
Yeah.
The no-name country.
Yeah.
He is a Muslim. He identifies as a Muslim, and he is speaking to Allah throughout it.
Right.
And it's kind of it's kind of one note, and I think we probably moved beyond this depiction of terrorists now. I would prefer it if you had more of a backstory. However, the others are quite well written. The other terrorists that are on board, and they do have an arc and a story and everything like that. It's actually quite nice.
What sort of time would you? Because I know you watch this first thing in the morning, which
Yeah.
is not when most people want to watch a film.
No.
To be fair, but that's 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Up we are again. Would this be sort of like your Sunday night film? Would it be a Friday night? What
No,
kind of?
it's
is it
an
a popcorn?
it's an evening film.
Right, okay.
Rather. It's quite cerebral rather than action packed.
Oh right, okay. So it's
Yeah.
more of a thinker rather than a get your box of popcorn. And,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more. I thought it was going to be like like Air Force One.
Yeah.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt doing cross punches on them and everything like that. It's not that. It's
Right, okay.
It's far more because everyone's injured. Like
Yeah.
because there is a fight and everyone's injured.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Right, okay.
and-
I understand.
Yeah, it's worth checking out
Uh-huh.
if you've got 90 minutes to kill and just want something. It's had mixed reviews. I enjoyed it. It's a sort of high 3, low 4-star film. So
Great.
yeah,
Well,
and
it's something to
yeah.
give a go, isn't it?
You know what? It's a 5-star film though.
Oh God, I can't cope. You know what? I can cope because we've got cake, and that's the only thing that's going to drive me through this. I am going to go. I know what you're going to say. I'm going to go in with an open mind.
No, you're not.
I really am. I went in with a slightly open mind with Top Secret. I didn't scream and shout when you made me watch Inside Out during a really emotive week. I'll be fine. Everything will be fine. How long is it?
It's 85 minutes.
Fine. Right. Look, 85 minutes of eating cake and me rolling my eyes internally and trying to smile and yeah, I'll be fine. It'll be fine. If I end up loving this film, honestly, that my entire being will have just gone.
So I'll say now, I think you could because I think you like slapstick. You like some quite slapstick comedy at times.
I love Allo Allo. I
Yeah.
love The Vicar of Dibley. But
And this isn't so far away from that.
Right, if I
this
think
is
about
only
it-
one step away from that.
right.
It's quite broad.
Yeah.
It's right. It
Should we just,
yes. Should we just watch it? Should we just watch it?
Let's
Yeah.
watch it.
Yeah.
In this city, there's crime on every street. But one man has seen enough. He's Lieutenant Frank Drebin.
Whatever scum did this, not one man on this force will rest for 1 minute until he's behind bars. Now let's grab a bite to eat.
He's a good cop who's having a bad day. His best friend
Everyone should have a friend like you.
is in a coma.
As soon as Nordberg is better, he's welcome back at Police Squad. But I wouldn't wait until the last minute to fill out those organ donor cards.
His girlfriend asked him to look her up.
Nice beaver.
Thank you. I just had it stuffed.
Let me help you with that.
And his city is in the hands of a master criminal with a sinister plan.
I must kill the queen.
How can any police story contain this much action? This much romance?
I like cops.
Or this much baseball? Starring Leslie Nielsen, a cop who's always on the alert. Mikhail Gorbachev.
I knew it.
Queen Elizabeth, everyone's favorite queen. Priscilla Presley, a woman who really cooks.
How hot and wet do you like it?
Ricardo Montalban.
Frank.
You're both right.
George Kennedy, the partner with an appetite for danger. O.J. Simpson, as you've never seen him before. And Reggie Jackson in his first dramatic role. In a movie so big, it had to be filmed in color. The Naked Gun, from the files of Police Squad.
Hello, we finished watching Naked Gun. I know we say this every week, but I may not have much to say about The Naked Gun.
Okay.
I realise we'll now go on and record 40 minutes of chat about it, but I was thinking, what am I going to say about this?
You can say how wrong you were.
Give me your history with Naked Gun film. Did you watch this when it came out at the time?
So this is 1988.
Right, okay. I thought it was earlier. I think it scans earlier. I think it scans late 70s, early 80s.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, I watched it probably early 90s, if not late 80s. I watched it. I had it on video. I watched it a lot when I was a kid.
I feel it's the sort of thing that if you saw as a child, you would have really fond memories of. In the same way, and I'm going to make a really weird comparison as well now, in the same way that I watched Labyrinth so much as a kid, I think you watched Labyrinth later on in life, didn't you? You watched it with me. Was it for the first time?
So I watched it at school. Yeah, I watched it when I was at school. Like last day of term, someone brought in a video. We watched it. Paul Goldsmith cried when she fell down the well and the hands were kind of.
Oh yeah, what's scary.
That's all I remember about it. And then watched it with you.
And we've gone into Labyrinth now, but it's that sort of thing where I've got such fond memories and I know every line and I know what's coming next. And then when you watch something as an adult for the first time, it just doesn't have that resonance with you because you had you have that warm, glowing feeling as a child.
Yes.
And it has all the memories attached to it. And I think this might be where this film comes out.
Okay.
Do you agree that?
No.
Okay. That was very strong. Do you need some more cake?
No. I've had enough cake, thank you. I can understand what you're saying. I think this is a better film than you thought it was going to be.
I'm not entirely convinced of that, Mark.
So
but you tell me what I think. Go on.
So when you went to bed last week after we spoke about this, you turned around to me in bed and said, "I don't want to watch The Naked Gun," in a very sincere manner.
I think I was probably pulling your leg.
But I don't think you're entirely.
There was probably a smidgen of truth in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would prefer to watch a historical epic than I would a comedy.
And you have laughed
Yeah.
consistently through that.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
I have. I think I was pushed along by the fact that I knew that it wasn't very long.
Yeah.
Things were moving very swiftly, so we weren't staying for long periods of time on a particular piece of slapstick.
Yeah.
The comedy was very broad.
Yeah.
There was some gruesome bits, actually. There was quite a lot of slapstick humour. There were some problematic bits of humour. There's a lot of carry-on moments. I mean, there were some. I'm going to call them the carry-on moments. There was a moment involving a penis that did make me laugh because it's late on at night. I've had too much sugar and that sort of thing. You can find hilarious. I'm not going to be all, oh no, po-faced and like, I would never find things like that funny. Because I do. I find it really quite juvenile. And yeah. So the juvenile humour. I thoroughly enjoyed O.J. Simpson being, like, I'm not into violence. I don't agree with violence in any form. But there was a poetic justice, wasn't there, to the fact that every time O.J. Simpson was on the screen, he was having some sort of physical there was a lot of physical comedy where he was the butt of the joke, let's say.
Yes.
I'm not even worried about spoilers. It's more he's been chucked off the side of a boat, he's been thrown down some stairs. There is something in that given what we now know,
absolutely,
you can kind of look at that and think, oh good, the film knew that too. Even before this event has happened.
He is in all three films.
Is he?
Yeah.
Does that same thing happen to him in all three films?
I would remember the second and third one as well as.
I don't understand why he's in it, other than is it sort of the equivalent of? And I realise, like, the guy I'm going to mention is completely better than him, but like The Rock has.
It's like Vinnie Jones. He's a world famous American football player.
Yeah.
And then he decided.
I forget there's other sports stars that have gone into.
And then
film.
he decided to become an actor. So that was, he was.
He's not acting, is he, Mark?
Well, no, he's not.
I don't particularly want to talk about O.J. Simpson very much.
But no, was Vinnie Jones in the first Lock, Stock?
The X-Men film. Sorry, it's not.
I'm Juggernaut, bitch.
Does he say that?
Yeah.
Oh, I think that might have been wiped out. The bitch bit might have been wiped out on the one that I saw. Maybe like ITV in the afternoon doesn't show. But yeah, I didn't remember that.
It's a parody of a YouTube video that came out.
Right. Okay. Oh. Right,
So back to the Naked Gun.
back to the Naked Gun. Could I ask a few questions?
Of course, yes. I encourage
Realise
it.
I'm gonna pull apart what is obviously a comedy, but
Yes.
So Priscilla Presley
Yeah.
plays the leading lady. I was happy to see for Elaine's, feminist movement. I was happy to see that the mayor was a woman. I wasn't sitting thinking, "Oh, there's no women in this film," but Priscilla Presley and one of the women, another woman's Queen Elizabeth II. But they were leading authority figures
Yeah.
who were women. So take slightly for Naked Gun. But Priscilla Presley's in it as sort of the femme fatale, because we're ripping off the Bond films here, aren't we? We're ripping off all those
Ripping off the Bond, ripping off...
spy, detective,
Yeah,
old school detectives
Yes.
as well, sort of 1920s, 1930s detectives.
Mm.
A lot of the musical cues lead you down that route as well. So she's almost sort of slightly playing it Jessica Rabbit-y. Would Who Framed Roger Rabbit have been out at that time?
Yeah, it will have just been out. Yeah, I think that was 87 and this is 88.
I felt the voice and the movement.
I think Jessica Rabbit was playing on a trope of the time as well.
Yeah, it's just
so,
what reminded me of that sort of 80s thing.
Okay.
Could you tell me how old Priscilla Presley was at this time?
She was 43.
Brilliant. Wish I looked like that in 3 years' time. It's amazing. And I thought she did a really good job, actually. I don't think is she known for her acting? I don't really
Not
know much about
really.
Priscilla, apart from, very sadly, that she was... The only thing I know about her, which is really reductive, is that she was married to Elvis.
So her I'm on her IMDb now, and the top 3 credits are the 3 Naked Gun films.
Naked Guns, okay.
And yeah, I don't think she's necessarily known as a actress, although she was probably trying to get into it, and it's obviously a name that can go in there.
Yeah.
It's worth noting, like you mentioned about her age, this is a very old cast.
Yes.
The only person, there's 2 people aged under 30, under 40 in the top credits on Wikipedia.
Okay.
One is Nordberg's wife,
Right,
and the other one is Weird Al Yankovic, who was in it for 1 second.
That
Everyone else is over 40.
Yeah, well, this is why I'm asking the question, because I felt a little bit queasy, I have to admit, when she's meant to be in this romantic relationship with Leslie Nielsen, and Leslie Nielsen just looks like a granddad, and she doesn't. But I realised that I was thinking maybe Priscilla Presley is older than she presents because she looks younger.
There's 19 years difference in between them, but
okay.
it's 65 and 40. 60 odd and 40 odd is, yeah. It's more comfortable that way than it is a 40-odd-year-old and a 20-odd-year-old, which is what we get quite often in Hollywood now.
Yeah, I did feel that. Yeah, there was.
And
there
also,
wasn't perhaps.
You're coming off a time where about 5 years earlier it was Roger Moore as James Bond.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought they worked really well together. I thought they had really good chemistry. The bit I enjoyed the most was their little montage of the day they had together.
You laughed loads
yeah,
at that.
I don't know why. I think was the song. It's something tells me I'm into something good.
Yeah, Herman's
and
Hermits.
it was all a bit bouncy and a bit, and I like a montage. So
yeah, and they're doing stupid things,
and they're
like
doing
walking
silly-
out of Platoon, crying and laughing because they're so happy with each other.
Yeah, it's that sort of stuff I thought was quite cute, and it wasn't like lascivious. I mean, weird thing is I've seen the joke about the condoms before. When if people mention this film, that tends to be the joke that they mention. Because she says, and I thought it was really interesting to have this in like a film as well. She says, I practice safe sex, and then they're in these like body condoms, so that that's a visual gag that I probably would have laughed at, but I've seen it before, and I think I've seen the montage before as well. So it must have been on those shows where they do the top 20 comedies of or whatever. Yeah. It must have been on that loads of times because I really recognise that.
It's a well-referenced film. I mean, it's been in the IMDb top 250. It is a well-respected film.
Okay. Okay. Can I... One more thing.
Yeah.
That I have in my little list of things to ask you. I think I've missed something at some point. when they're in the baseball stadium at the end and we're getting to the denouement of someone's trying to assassinate Queen Elizabeth II, who for some reason is over in America
she's on a tour. Yeah.
The baddie, who actually we'll get to in a moment, remind me about the baddie. The baddie and Priscilla are sitting behind her, and someone gives the baddie like something to eat, and he picks out a finger, like a dead finger, and a ring.
Yeah.
Did I miss something there?
So that was the guy that it was a very specific ring.
Specific,
It's the guy who got in a fight with Frank in the meat factory earlier in the film, and his hand goes in, showing the ring.
That's where I knew, and he falls into toxic waste.
Yes.
And
So it's showing that these hot dogs are
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. I got really confused. You know, I nearly stopped you at that point. Like, can I just ask you about this? I just couldn't pull it together. I don't know whether I'm just like so knackered that, you know, but yes. Right, the baddie.
Ricardo Montalban.
What? Oh! He's Star Trek.
He's Khan.
He's Star Trek. Oh my god. The whole way through I'm going, I know him. I know, and as soon as you've said his name there, of course it is.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking, particularly at the beginning, I was thinking, wow, he'd make a really good James Bond villain. Like, he was playing it very straight.
Yes, yeah. I mean, yeah. I think purposely so.
I think he's great.
Yeah. It's. I don't think this gets by just on the humour. I think there is a plot that's constructed well enough, better than it needs to be, shall we say? Mm-hmm. And this is why I picked this for you rather than any of the other Zucker Abrams Zucker, which I think is probably our last trip to Zucker Abrams Zuckerland after.
So what would be the others?
So, Airplane, Top Secret, and then Naked Gun.
Okay.
The others are Naked Gun,
the sequel,
2.5, Naked Gun 33 and said Hot Shots. And then they go into the scary movie territory.
Oh, okay.
They were behind that.
Oh, they did that?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
If we ever do a last ever episode of this, I will pick for this, and it will be the last ever time we speak to each other, Kentucky Fried Movie, which was their first film, which is It's designed as if it's people flicking channels, so it's very episodic. It's very just tropey. It's bits.
Okay. Yeah.
It's as if like someone's flicking through, and you go to a stupid drama, you go to a commercial. Okay. They designed a sequel to that, which was to be called Kentucky Fried Airplane, which became Airplane, and that's how it went on.
Oh right, I remember that story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's all I've really got for Naked Gun. I have to be honest. I'm struggling for things to say about it because I just you know how you said last week for Last of the Mohicans.
Yes.
This isn't for me.
Yeah.
This isn't for me. And whilst I appreciated like the silly laughs.
Yeah.
And I had lots to think about in terms of Priscilla Presley and the villain and how old Leslie Nielsen was. You know, I had some things to think about with that. It didn't necessarily hold my attention, and I was thinking I would quite like to go to bed. I wouldn't mind if we just paused it now and just like got ready for bed.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? But I think that is very much it's me and my failings with comedy.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I genuinely don't think this is far off the things that you grew up loving.
Well, I was trying to, and I was keeping an open mind. I was thinking about it and thinking, would this sit in Allo Allo? It probably would. Yeah, it probably would.
I'm thinking of the opening sequence where he's beating up all the super baddies and.
Which bit?
So the opening scene, he goes into.
Oh yes, yeah, I know what you mean.
Room.
It's all the people of the time.
Idi Amin, Colonel Gaddafi, Mikhail Gorbachev.
Yes. Yeah. I appreciate the interesting. I can appreciate it on a historical level as well.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at it from the point of view of like the 80s. I really like it from analysing it from the point of view of what what were we targeting at the time? What was America targeting at the time? And how were they representing their comedy? But I mean, that's a bit pole-faced, isn't it? Oh, I'm sitting and analysing it and from a socio-historic, and I don't necessarily want to go down that route, but that is where my mind tends to go when I watch films that I'm not too sure of.
Yeah.
I look at like different angles to try and keep myself entertained. It wouldn't be one that I revisited.
No.
If it was on the telly in an afternoon, I wouldn't be keeping it on like the way I do when Jaws is on, for example, or Aliens is on. Those are the films that draw me back time and time again.
But you must, but I wouldn't compare this to Jaws and Aliens.
No, I'm not.
I would compare this, like you said, to...
Like.
I wouldn't keep Labyrinth on, whereas you would.
Yeah,
Or The Never-Ending Story.
Yeah, exactly.
Or,
I'm not saying that... I mean, I am saying that those films are better than this one, but...
They're not.
Yeah, no, I'm not comparing them. Oh, Mark, they are. They really are.
Oh, no, they're not.
They really are. How can you seriously, are you going to tell me that The Naked Gun is better than Jaws? I'm not
saying it's better than that. I'm saying it's better than Labyrinth and...
Oh, right.
Or at least comparable.
I thought you were saying Jaws and Aliens were lesser films compared to The Naked Gun.
Oh, no. Although I would much rather watch this than... I would much rather watch this right now than Jaws.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. We really are quite far apart, actually. A lot of the time, I think we're on very much the same page with films, but this is kind of proving to me that we're not. That we have an instinctive feeling for certain films.
Yeah, but it's comfort food. Like, I'd rather, there's sometimes when you just rather have a burger than a fillet steak.
See, my burger is Jaws. I love just sticking that on in the background.
Okay, Jaws is quite a popcorny film.
Okay. Because it was a summer blockbuster.
But Aliens...
Yeah.
Aliens is a long film, and it's quite tough.
Okay.
I mean, you're over this in 90 minutes. It's quite a nice way to go. It's quite a nice way to spend an evening or a quarter of an evening.
Yeah, it was a good Sunday night cake film, not popcorn film. It was a good Sunday night cake film that didn't last very long, and after the first half hour when we went to get cake, you were able to turn to me and go, look, there's under an hour left. So that was good. It kept going, and it was something fun. It's a throwaway for me.
Absolutely.
For me, it's a throwaway. I'm really struggling with star rating. I want to give an extra half a star for the emergence of a guy at the end that I know as the character Chubby from Teen Wolf. How far have we come? But there's a guy called Chubby in Teen Wolf who is like one of my favourite characters from Teen Wolf. He's Michael J. Fox's mate from school.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all dead old. They shouldn't be in school in Teen Wolf. And it's another one of the 80s ones that I love. I love Teen Wolf. And he just stands up at the end and like shouts a line, and that's it.
Shouts,
that's all he does.
Hey, it's Enrico Palazzo. Yeah. Which is what I shout out when we're in Las Vegas and we walk past the Palazzo Hotel.
And I must just nod at you. Because I remember you doing that like over and over again. And I think I just go, yes, dear, and just nod away. So yeah, not listening.
It was
to
30 when this was released.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I think, was Teen Wolf 85? Back to Future's 85, isn't it? And it was just after that.
Off,
it was just after. So yeah, wow. He really didn't belong in high school.
Wow, he's in two of your favourite films.
Is he? What else is he in?
He's also in A League of Their Own.
Another one we need to revisit it. I haven't watched that for years.
I've seen it once.
Okay. Oh, we'll have to think about that then. I'm going to give it, against my better judgment.
Yeah.
I'm between 2 and 2.5 stars. I want to give the extra half for Chubby jumping up at the end because I was so excited about that. What did I give? I want to call it Hot Shots, but it's not. What did I give Top Secret?
You gave it 3 stars.
Did I?
Yeah.
I didn't enjoy this as much as Top Secret.
Okay,
so
that's interesting.
I'm gonna go 2.5.
Okay. I mean, I disagree with it, obviously.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, like I'm not. I don't think it's a crime against. I think your crime against humanity was your rating for Inside Out. But
Let it go, Mark.
No,
let it go. In the words of the woman from Frozen 2 that's on now, let it go. Did she sing it again in Frozen 2?
No, she didn't.
Oh,
I watched it
thank
yesterday morning, by the way, to
Thank
anyone
goodness.
listening. Yeah. There was a clip of it because there was a recap of the first film.
Of course there is. I mean, they've got to get it in there somewhere, haven't they?
The snowman, is it Olaf? Yes.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't watch Frozen. I'm purposefully not watching it until I absolutely have to.
When Blake
Just
demands
wait till he
to watch it.
decides that he
Yeah.
wants to watch it. Yeah.
Olaf does a recap for other characters in the film.
Okay.
And, yeah, a comedic recap of the
Got to
first
get
film.
back into the second one, haven't they? Somehow they've got to pigeonhole it in.
But it's only just a thread of it.
Okay. So yeah, 2.5 stars. I think that's very generous, to be honest.
I think you're being harsh. I think you laughed more than 2.5 stars worth.
No, I think I did. I think I laughed just on 2 stars with an extra at the end for the emergence of a character that I know from another film.
Okay, well, that's fine. That's fine. What film am I tearing apart next week then now?
Well, you may very well do that. I think this is going to be an interesting one to see what you think. I'll be really interested to see what you think. When I talked about Last of the Mohicans and said, I've pulled Last of the Mohicans out my pocket.
Yeah.
I wish I had thought a little bit more about what had happened that week, because that week we lost the director Joel Schumacher.
Yes.
And we went through a list of films that Joel Schumacher directed that you hadn't seen, and one of them really popped up. I don't think it's the one that you think I'm gonna pick out. Really hope you haven't seen it now.
Okay, can I write one down and just see if it's...
Yeah.
Because, okay, so I don't think you're going to pick the one that I think you think...
God, it's a bit complicated, isn't it? Are you ready?
I'm just going to type which one I think... Yeah, okay, I've written them down. I've written down the one that you think I think and the one that you are going to pick.
I'm so confused. Okay.
Okay.
Can I tell you the one I'm going to pick?
Yeah.
We're going to watch the original Flatliners.
And you thought I was going to pick The Lost Boys.
Yes. Mark has written Flatliners, and I think The Lost Boys. Yeah, that's exactly right. Because The Lost Boys is the obvious choice.
Yeah.
But I might save that for Halloween.
Oh, that's a good shout. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Spooky
Spooky Halloweeny.
Spooky Halloweeny thing.
Should we do a double date night?
That'd be
night?
great. I
Yeah.
love Halloween. So yeah, Flatliners. It's 1990. So it's back to the 90s for me. I have so many 90s films that I'm pulling out of the bag here. Do you know anything about Flatliners? This is the original, because there has been a remake recently.
Yeah. Did that ever come out?
It did, yeah. It was absolutely awful.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Kiefer Sutherland.
Yes. It's all of those.
Julia Roberts. Is she in
well
it?
done. Yeah.
All I know is my mum loves this film.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
my mum
brilliant.
talks about how clever this film is and how I should watch it. And
Lindo, I've got him.
she'll be very excited to be talking about this. Although, I'll say now, she's probably not watched it for 30 years.
Doesn't matter. I don't think I've watched it for like 10 at least. So it's the big people of the day. It's bang on the 90s. It's Joel Schumacher. He's a little bit wacky in his direction. He's incredibly creative and arty, actually, in some of his shots. And there are certain scenes that have been picked out of Flatliners as being... I'm not explaining this very well, but I'm trying not to spoil it for you as well. But let's say there's someone's apartment, and in a normal film, it'd just be a normal apartment. But in a Joel Schumacher film, it's a piece of art. So
I have, in my mind, I think I've turned over to Flatliners, and it probably was a time 25 years ago. But I think you see someone having sex on a video screen at some point in this film.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I remember about it.
the one thing that
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting, isn't it, Mark?
It clearly stuck with me from being like 15 or something.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm really excited about watching Flatliners
I'm
with you. Now I know
excited.
that,
I'm genuinely excited to watch this.
Yeah. Let's not say any more.
Well, then let's leave it there. We'll carry on this argument about naked gun in bed, no doubt. But
I might have to get more cake.
we're not having any more cake. We've had enough.
So sad. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thank
Hope
you.
you enjoyed this episode, and we will see you next week.
See you later.
Before you go, just a reminder that you can subscribe to the Honeymoon Period podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else you get your podcasts. You can join in the conversation on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search for The Honeymoon Pod. Finally, if you like this episode and you think someone else would too, please share it. See you next time.